and welcome to Dear Katie, the podcast that amplifies courageous voices and real stories of resilience, healing, and hope after trauma. Inspired by the many letters Katie has received over the last 20 years, each week she interviews survivors, healers, and experts to honor their stories and explore the many paths to healing and hope. Before we begin, please know, many episodes of Dear Katie cover sensitive topics related to sexual violence, trauma, and recovery. Listen with care and take the space you need to take care of yourself. Your well-being is what matters most. Now, let's join Katie and today's guest for a conversation that matters.
Hi, everybody. Welcome back to the Dear Katie podcast. We are so delighted to have you continue with us in this healing journey. Each and every episode, as you know, will offer some new way to think about your own journey through perhaps a storyteller, a survivor, a healing modality will come up. So we have every kind of way to think about this process. I always like to remind you that it's fine to take a moment if this becomes hard to hear and push play when you're back ready to come on again. And I am excited. Today's episode is definitely a survivor-centered story. We have such a variety of people come on the show, and today is definitely about a survivor story. So just be ready to hear about Clare. So I'll just read a little bit about her, and then you'll get to know her really well in the course of our conversation. So Clare Awada is a survivor, as I just said. She is a survivor of childhood grooming and sexual abuse. She now works as a forensic SANE RN in hopes to help others at what could be the most difficult time of their life when she sees them, I'm sure, in the hospital. She originally started in criminal justice and earned her bachelor's before switching to the nursing career. She is currently married. She has 3 boys. They're right now 12, 10, and 7. And she's done a few podcasts and 1 public speaking engagement so far. So welcome to the show, Clare. And thank you so much for being willing to share your own journey with our listeners who are each mostly on their own journeys. So let's learn, where are you from? Where did you grow up? What's the backstory of Clare?
Well, thank you for having me. And yes, so I grew up in a little town off of Toledo, Ohio called Savannah, Ohio. My parents were divorced when I was in 6th grade, which I feel like played a big part in what happened. I have 2 siblings older than me, so I'm the youngest, and my sister was a first-year law student, so she was in and out of the house when I was in high school, and my brother was at Purdue during that time. So now I am married and have 3 kids, like Katie said, and I work in level 1 trauma ER as a forensic and SANE RN, and then part-time actually in the ER itself.
Gotcha. Okay, so you said your parents got divorced when you were in 6th grade, and that was part of, you think, what influenced your own experience. So tell us more about that. What's going on there?
So when I was in 7th grade, eighth grade going into 9th grade, 14, turning 15, we got new neighbors next door, and he was married, had 2 kids, 2 and 4 years old. I became babysitting for them. And that's when the dad started taking extra steps to pay attention to me, start asking me more personal type questions. Just the whole grooming process of I had wanted to get a pager, and my parents were going to let me. So my neighbor, the dad, he took me to get that pager. So that was like a gift. And then he just started grooming me. Our relationship became more and more where he started to ask me more personal questions. And at first it made me feel like really uncomfortable. I didn't know what to do. But I didn't really I felt like a safe person to talk to at that time. I had a couple friends, but my one friend was also talking to an older person at that time. And I I guess, envious of that. I thought that she was cool that an older guy was like looking into her. So when my neighbor started paying attention, and my dad's a lawyer and I mostly lived with him, so he was gone a lot. So I think that's why my neighbor started paying attention. I was vulnerable because I was lonely. I didn't really have anybody at home with me. And so I was uncomfortable with the relationship, but at the same time accepting, because it was an older person giving me all that attention that teenagers crave. So one thing basically, as people say, led to another, and the relationship became sexual in nature for about 6 months. And around December of 2000, my sister saw an email I had sent to him and knew that the relationship wasn't adult child relationship because of that email, which she then notified my mom. They took the computer to the police station.
And Claire, let's like back up, because that was a lot of story. And I think we should go through it a little more in detail, if that's okay with you.
Yeah.
So let's just recap. So you have 2 older siblings who aren't around much. Your dad, you're staying with your dad, who's a lawyer. A new neighbor moves in, who's a single man with 2 kids, and you start babysitting for these teenagers when you're about 14 or 15.
Yeah. So he was actually married, and he had a 2 and a 4-year-old.
Okay, so he's next door with his wife, and he has a 2 and a 4-year-old.
Yep. So I start babysitting.
And you would babysit after school, or during the day, or at night, or
after school, or on the weekends.
Every day? Like how frequent?
Just whenever they would want to go out, like on a date night.
Mm-hmm.
So not super frequently, but enough, if they just needed somebody so they could go out.
Okay, so then the father starts paying you a lot more attention, and you said grooming, and you mentioned the pager gift. What other kinds of things was he doing at the time that, maybe they didn't seem like much back then, but now they're like, oh, wow, those are all the signs and symptoms?
So like I was saying, he just paid me a lot more attention.
Like physical attention, or like he would compliment you, or?
Yeah, so he would call me on the phone. So once I got the pager, he would page me all zeros, so nobody else would know if my pager was laying around who it was, but I would know that was him, that he wanted me to call him and talk to him. So we would, and then late at night, we would talk on, this is when AOL was a big thing, and AIM. This was back in 2000. So we would talk at night online. And when I say he was asking me more personal questions, he would ask, like, if I had boyfriends, if I was into guys, what I've done with men at that point. And then he would start asking if I drank, and if I had ever done like any drugs, including like smoking pot. And that type of stuff. So he would, and then he would start to offer me alcohol or to smoke pot if I wanted.
Would you go over to his house, or
or he would give it to me. That's what he would come up to. He was my next door neighbor, so our backyards were not right next to each other. So he would be lingering around in his backyard and see me out there, and he'd be like, oh, do you and your friends want some alcohol? Like, I felt like now looking back, he was trying to be the cool young neighbor that, we could do anything around, or that I would try to go to for things.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So that goes on for how long, this initial term? Would you say a year?
I would say maybe a couple weeks.
Mm-hmm.
Probably 3 or 4 weeks. And then I felt like he was testing the boundaries, which is another grooming technique. They would try to push a little bit and see how comfortable I was. So when we would talk online, then that's when he would start to ask me those more personal type questions. And then one of the nights, he had a pool and he said we could go swimming whenever. So I went over there to go swimming and just him came out. This was kind of like a pivotal turning point. He came out and got in the pool and it was just the two of us, which made me feel really uncomfortable. And he started telling me about how him and his wife were planning on having sex that night, which I thought was really weird.
Mm-hmm.
And then he swam by me at one point, and, you know, at the time I tried to just play it off like, oh, he swam by and accidentally touched me. But now looking back, I'm thinking, no, that was intentional. He grazed like up against my butt on purpose.
Mm-hmm.
And then he had also asked like if I had sex at that point. And at that point I was 14. I hadn't had sex with anybody. And so that was kind of, I just remember that part in the pool just being very uncomfortable. I didn't really know what to do. But like I said before, at the same time, I was like,
Mm-hmm.
oh, this guy's taking interest and giving me this attention. And, you know, now he's telling me these secrets for him.
Mm-hmm.
So that was kind of
So awkward, Claire.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is terrible. And I guess for reference, I think you said this is around 2000.
2000, yes.
Yeah, and you're 14.
So, yeah, so cell phones weren't like as prevalent.
Right,
All
you
the
mentioned a
cameras.
pager. I bet some of our listeners are like, "Oh, what?"
Yeah.
It's just this little tiny device that you could like alert the device that you could call that. It wasn't a phone. It was like
Yeah.
an alert mechanism.
Yeah, you had like, if I was at the mall, you had to go to a payphone then and put 50 cents in.
Yeah, it's
and
like the original idea of kind of the fledgling concept of a phone eventually.
right. Yeah.
I'm
So
glad you mentioned it because I kind of forgot that little blip in technology time.
technology time. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yep.
that was good.
Yes.
Okay, so this is, but no, you have no oversight. Like your parents aren't around to notice anything, and you mentioned you're kind of alone and had no other person. So what were you doing at age 14? So you were babysitting, obviously. Did you play sports? And
I did. I played. I was getting into golf at that point, so I could play in high school.
Yeah.
So I did that. I played softball.
Did you do
So I was
overhand pitch, like fast pitch, or?
fast pitch.
Yeah, I grew up in Georgia, and we did big old slow arc pitch. It was like such an art to get that arc as high as perfect as possible and land it over the plate.
Land it right over the plate in the strike zone.
Yeah. I was not as good as I wish I would, but I always tried hard. So now this goes on from like 14. And then so you said that was probably the pool situation. So how did the initial sex thing happen? Like, do you remember? I'm sure you remember like it was yesterday.
Yeah. So it actually started fairly slow. Like he touched me, and then I don't really remember how much longer it was. It was probably a couple days. He sent me a page and I called him, and then he said, meet him out by his garage. Which was also like kind of a starting point because that's what I would do. I would sneak out of my garage. My garage was next to his, so I could sneak out the back door if my dad was home, and then he could sneak out his side garage door, and they were right next door to each other. So he told me to meet him by his garage. I went over there, and he just went for it, and we made out. And then he touched my chest over my shirt out there. But I do remember that was the first time that he did anything. And I went back inside and I think I sat in my room for a while, just like, okay, what just happened? What do I do now? Type of thing. But like I shouldn't say any, but I was 14, so I had butterflies in my stomach at the same time. It was conflicting because I felt like this guy truly cared about me. He had been giving me attention, had been kind, gentle, never was nasty or forceful or anything.
Mm.
So then I want to say it was probably a couple days later, I went over there after his wife went to bed, and we had sex in his garage. He had a Camaro, a red Camaro, I remember. And the next day, when he came home, because this was in the summertime, and it makes me sick to my stomach thinking about it now. But back then, I remember thinking it was funny. Like, my butt marks were on the hood of his Camaro. And when he drove it home the next day, I remember him making a comment like, oh my gosh, I need to wash my car before somebody notices and can tell that this is like a butt mark and my wife asks a question or something.
Right.
And now just even saying that out loud just makes me feel so sick that an adult could feel that comfortable. At the time I was 14. I have a summer birthday, so that's why I said 14, 15, because I did turn 15. But I was 14 at the time. Like, I think about that now. I have a 12-year-old, and I
know, it's freaky. It's
Yeah.
so crazy, Claire. And I have teenagers now too. And I think like, I remember all my history, and you think an adult 30, any adult like fantasizing about a 14-year-old girl is just, or boy, is just, it's that you're not mature. Like, we as adults now, like, we look at our kids and they're like, they can barely get themselves to school.
Right. Oh, right. For sure. Like,
yeah, I hear you.
I try to go back to that time, and it flabbergasts me.
Well, I think what's really good as I'm listening to you is also like, there's so much research about like when you hit the age of the trauma that you endured as a parent, when your kids are hitting that age, it gets really hard.
Yeah.
And not that it was never. It was always hard, but it gets even worse because you're like seeing it again through your own children's eyes. And so I'm really proud that, like, I'm so happy you're here today, because you're doing this just right before things might have gotten really, really nightmarish. And maybe, talking about it like this is going to be just really glorious in a different way, because you're doing something positive with your voice and helping other people. So I'm really excited.
Yeah. And that's my hopes, and why I'm sharing my story now is I want other teenagers to recognize the red flags and the adults to recognize the red flags. It was my sister that ended up paying enough attention that recognized something was wrong. Yeah.
Was the email the first thing, or was there a step before that?
No, she, I think, had noticed, because she would comment, like, I would talk about him all the time, or the family all the time, like, oh, I'm going to go over and play with Justin for a little bit, which was the little boy. And, or I would just always want to be outside. And my sister, I think, started picking up on those things, and she kept saying,
how old was she again?
She was a first-year law student, so she's 7 years older than me, so she would have been 21 at the time.
Mm-hmm.
But so she was like in and out. She had her own place, but she would come home.
Mm-hmm.
And so she was the one picking up on these signs, like, why all of a sudden are you closing your door all the time and being on the phone? And why are you trying to be outside and hang around that side of the yard?
Mm-hmm.
But she would just say little things, and she was very suspicious. She didn't like the guy. She thought he was creepy right away. But she's 21. She's 7 years older. She has that mature type of brain.
Right. And she knew.
And she basically, right from the get-go, knew that something was up, but I just kept denying it. She didn't have any proof, that type of thing, until in December, that email that I had sent.
Okay.
And it was around his birthday.
Let's just, before that happened. So how often are you guys, you said it went on for 6 months, so it sounds like from the summer through December. And
Yeah.
and it was pretty regular. He would want you to come over.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. And
It
never,
was,
like, you think the wife never knew.
no.
Oh my goodness. He's so
Yeah. So like she would be gone, or she would be home and asleep upstairs. There were times in the garage. There were times where he would even sneak me into his basement with his wife upstairs. And once again, thinking back, I just am baffled by it. But it's knowing what I know now about him, it makes sense that his wife wouldn't necessarily pay attention, because she probably knew that he had some kind of sex addiction, sex problem. It seems like. So she, I think, would put the blinders on to other type of weird behaviors, if that makes sense.
How long have they been married, do you think?
I'm not really sure. They had a 4 and a 2-year-old.
Right.
So I don't think I ever asked him or knew how long they had been together, how they got together, anything.
Yeah, makes sense. So now we're in December and your sister sees the email, and then what happens?
I kind of knew what something she had forwarded the email to my mom, and I happened to see that in my sent box. So then I was trying to figure out, like, oh my God, did my mom just see this email I mailed to him? Because it was around his birthday, and I was telling him that I was going to give him something special because that's what he wanted. And so with her getting that email, I was like, oh, she's going to know what's going on. He worked for his dad that owned a paper company. So everything, all of his taglines were Mr. Paper. So it was very obvious that it was him. There was no, like, my sister could take one look at the email and know who I was sending it to. So this was also the time where you had towers for your computer, and people used computer shops to get them fixed.
Right.
I feel like I'm dating myself.
That's okay.
So
You're there. Come on, you're young.
I know, but it just seems like all this stuff is not around anymore.
Yeah, but Claire, I'm older than you, and we had those phones with, like, you put your finger and you dialed around a thing with, like, a big long cord. Like, it's all good. Life is going to be great. We're going to see all kinds of things happen. AI is going to do all this. Like, we'll be like, oh, remember when we had these things called cell phones?
Yeah.
Like, we'll be like little chips that can do. We'll just, like, we'll put it here. We'll, like, be able to see anything. I don't know.
So they took the computer out of the house.
Who say they? Your mom?
Like my mom and my dad.
Okay.
I mean, at the time I didn't know, but when I asked, like, where the computer was, because it was our family computer and I wanted to be on it, my mom and my dad both told me that, because my parents were divorced, so I lived at my dad's house. So this was like the computer at my dad's house. They said, there was something wrong with it. They took it to the computer shop. Hindsight, or knowing what I know now, they took it to the police station to have forensic type stuff done on it, thinking, they could pull emails, because that was one way we communicated as well. So then it was only like 2 days that the computer was gone, and I was actually in physical therapy for my knee. My mom had taken me to the appointment, and I was getting home, and I can remember this like it was yesterday. Walked in the front door after physical therapy, and there was a lady. You could look down the hallway into our kitchen, and my dad was leaning up against the counter, and there was this other lady, and he said, there she is. And this lady came walking down the hallway, and she introduced herself as Detective Bliss, and she needed to talk to me about my relationship with my neighbor. And so instantly I just had that sinking gut feeling, like, oh my gosh, what has just happened? What am I going to say? And she was like, we can talk here or down at the station. And of course I said, we can just talk here, thinking, like, at this time still like, oh, I'm just going to play this off. No big deal. She was like, no, we're going to go down to the station. So then of course I got kind of pissy as a teenager, thinking, well, then why'd you give me the option if you just want me to go down to the station? So I had to walk across my driveway. Her car was parked in the neighbor's driveway because they had other unmarked cars. They were searching his house at this point. There was probably like 6 cars in his driveway. He wasn't home yet, and they were searching the house. And as I walked over, he had pulled up coming home from work. But Detective Bliss then took me down to the police station. My parents didn't come with me. It was just me and her.
That's interesting.
Yeah. And she told me, you know, like, you're not in trouble, but I need to know about your relationship. And at first I tried to kind of lie, play it down like, oh, it's really nothing. And she had this binder in front of her, and she flipped it around, and it was emails that we had sent back and forth. And she told me, well, you better, you know, there's no point in lying because we have evidence right here that states that something else is going on. So you might as well just tell me. So I broke down and I told her everything that I'm basically telling everybody here today. And they later then interviewed him as well. He then got arrested, and my parents did leave me out of the court process, which I feel like has kind of had like a lasting effect of not being able to get closure because of necessarily like of that. So I feel like it was kind of harmful to my healing process. I instantly was depressed. I felt like I was in love with this guy. I was a teenager, and to me, this was true love. And so I felt like, how could people tell me what I should be feeling, what I shouldn't be feeling? I felt like who should be able to tell me who I can and can't have sex with at the age of 14. Knowing what I know now, that's obviously completely changed. And I totally feel like we should be able to tell people who they should and shouldn't be having sex with, because your brain isn't developed in that mature type of way. But he ended up getting sentenced only 3 years in jail, and he got out in 11 months is what he served for the relationship or what he did to me. And while he only served 11 months, I have had now 24 years of trying to heal from trauma, because everything changed after that moment. High school wasn't high school for me. Every day I prayed to God that he would just want to have me wake up. So I was feeling suicidal. I never attempted suicide or came up with like an actual plan. I always said that I was too much of a wuss to actually do something, but I was just hoping something would happen to me. So like I said, my high school was kind of crappy. I didn't enjoy it like a lot of other high schoolers do. There were times where, because we live in a fairly populated area, Toledo, suburb of Toledo, but he ran into me a couple different times. One time on 4th of July downtown for the fireworks, and then he even sent whatever female friend he was with over to ask me if he could talk to me. And I was like, I don't have anything to say to him. But the interesting part is, fast forward 10 years after, so 2000 to 2010. In 2010, I was dating my now husband, and somebody messaged me on Facebook and said, I think we have something in common. And instantly I'm thinking my husband, boyfriend at the time, is cheating on me, and this is the other girl.
No. Oh my gosh.
Like that was my first instinct. Like, you know, some females messaging me and saying we have something in common.
Yeah, very suspicious.
You know, at that time, I was, so how old was I in 2010? 25.
Mm-hmm.
So I think I was still kind of numbing, and I drank a lot in that party type early 20 years. So I was numbing a lot. So Brad and the situation with him wasn't on my mind at first.
Mm-hmm.
So I was just like, okay, what? And then she said his name. So instantly I was thinking, oh my gosh, somebody's playing a really bad joke on me, because I'm thinking, how does this random person that I don't know that about what happened between Brad and I? And come to find out in 2000 or in 93, so 1993, this girl that messaged me, she was 10 years old at the time, and she was riding her bike to her brother's baseball game through these woods when she was ripped off of her bike and like brutally raped. And she went home right afterwards, told her parents. Her parents took her to actually Toledo Hospital, where I work now as a SANE nurse, and she had a SANE kit collected.
Oh my goodness.
So, yeah, so fast forward to 2010, they had like a massive grant where they were able to run all of these rape kits that never had been ran in the past. And because of what Brad did to me, his DNA was in the system.
Oh, wow.
So they ran her rape kit and they matched his DNA
Oh my God.
to her rape kit. So, and this was in 2010. She then they contacted her and said, like, hey, are you up to testifying? Like, we have a match finally for who raped you when you were 10. Will you testify, and you want to prosecute? And she was all about it. So she started searching his name, and in one little spot in the dockets from our court case, my name was left, which should have been redacted because I was
minor.
a minor.
Mm-hmm.
It accidentally was left in there. I mean, now I think of it as like a godsend. But she found my name, and then she searched me and contacted me. So we met up, and she told me her story. I told her mine.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And she's only a couple years older than me. And actually, at the time when she messaged me, we lived like 3 streets away from each other.
Amazing.
Like, it's just
it's so good, but so bad, right?
Yeah.
At least you feel like less alone, right?
Yeah. So she testified. They prosecuted him. They took him to court. They arrested him. She testified. He was found guilty on all of their accounts. And I went with her. I sat there. I looked at him in the eye. His wife, when everything was going on with us, his wife was like straight up nasty to my family. She blamed me so I got to look at her, which I feel like was healing, because I carried a lot of guilt and being ashamed of what happened for a really long time. I felt like I was to blame. I felt like I ruined a marriage. And so that's been like my biggest thing hurdle that I've had to overcome, is that he was the adult, I was the child, and he crossed those boundaries. And while I feel like I should have known better, I was only 14 and I didn't know, and I didn't have anybody to talk to. But I'm not to blame. So it was nice to just, he got sentenced. He is now in jail. He got sentenced to life because he raped somebody that was younger than 10, which is a life sentence. He was just up for parole this past spring, and he got denied parole.
Do you get to go in and say anything about that?
So I did not personally, but my friend, so the girl is actually like one of my best friends now.
Oh, that's so nice.
It's so crazy. Like, if you think about it in the whole realm of things, like how small the world truly is, that she found me and like we're near the same age and we like each other. We can get along. And so she's like one of my best friends now. But yeah, she, I feel like got her, her piece, you know, or whatever with it. And with him getting sentenced, because I felt like I didn't really get justice, probably because I didn't go to court with my family to get that type of closure. So going to that court case and knowing that he was up there and saw me and everything gave me more closure. But Lindsay was able to write in because it had directly to do with her. So she was able to write in for her parole and why he shouldn't get it.
Well, I think your story is, first of all, thank you for sharing it, you know, Claire. And, you know, I'm just forever daunted by how these perpetrators just keep getting away with it and away with it. And I feel good that you have this new best friend, though.
Yeah.
I mean, at least when we go through these things, you find some little piece of goodness from it. And it sounds like you've done that. And now you have these wonderful kids of your own.
Yes.
And it sounds like a really supportive husband, too.
Yeah.
So I guess the last part is, you know, when we like to kind of think about maybe two things that really helped you. I mean, you talked about the going to her case was kind of closure for you. Is there any other pieces of advice that you think really helped you that you'd like to pass along?
Well, having a therapist, I believe everybody should have a therapist. I believe mental health is just as important as physical health, and we go yearly to our doctor, even if you just have a safe person that you can check in with and kind of decompress with at least once in a while. I feel like that is such enormous help to mental health.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel like me having, you know, I've seen a couple different therapists just because people have moved or retired, but everyone that I have found and have talked to has helped me tremendously. And I feel like I'll probably be in therapy for the rest of my life, which is fine. But finding a therapist that you can connect with is life-changing as opposed to keeping it all bottled up or not finding that connection with a therapist. One of the biggest things I would say is if you don't have that connection, don't be afraid to tell them and find somebody else. And I feel like speaking up and doing these types of podcasts or in-person talks has been very healing for me as well.
Good. I'm happy then. I mean, this is all moving in the right direction. And I'm sure you're going to do a great job with your own kids and, you know, that fine balance of protecting them, but really just warning them most of all with just knowledge and understanding of, you know, all these predators and boundaries. And then I have sons too, Claire. So I'm also like, and you better never do that to anybody, right? You also
Right.
want to like eradicate all the perpetrators. If only all the moms out there could get the courage to get rid of these perpetrator boys when they're, you know, learning how to do this bad stuff.
Yeah.
The power of the mom, I don't know. But then you worry, like some of them, it just seems so deliberate and intentional. And, you know, where did they ever get this? You know, like serial, like the murderers. It's just awful.
Yeah. And I feel like, you know, what I do now as a SANE and forensic RN, seeing patients that have been sexually assaulted or any type of victim of a crime has really helped. Like I can give them a sense of security because I can be empathetic with them
100%.
and understand, you know, what they're going through at that moment. I feel like has truly helped and been healing for me as well.
That's fantastic. I mean, Claire, thank you for also giving such hope, I think, to some of our listeners who might feel like in the dark. Like you described high school just wasn't high school, and there were a lot of really awful tunnels that you were in, and it didn't seem like there was a way out. And thank goodness you didn't ever try and take your life, and because you're helping all these years later. Like, I think that's another thing that's really important, is many of our guests also express that, how can I even live anymore? And the glorious part is if you find that courage and strength, and then look at you now, like you're helping so many more people, and life is very powerful and meaningful.
Yeah.
And because of your own trauma, you're able to help a lot of other people who might not feel heard or understood. And you are amazing at that. I can just tell. I wish if I was in the hospital, I want you to be my nurse for sure.
Oh, well, thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah,
it means a lot.
Yeah, for sure. Well, I don't know if there's anything else that you want to share, but if you're starting to do more podcasts and speeches, I'm sure that some of our listeners who really connect with your particular story will go and find you. So
absolutely,
go Google you and find you. And sometime we could do another version with you and your new best friend, the two of you on the show.
Yeah.
She's never done any, but that could be our follow-up.
She has not. She's not quite in that spot where she feels like she can talk about it.
Well,
she would like to write a book.
You tell her that we talked.
I will.
And
I told her that we should write a book together.
Yeah, you two should definitely do that. And then
neither of us are very good writers. We didn't do very well in English.
That's okay. There's people who will help you write.
I need a ghost writer. I can tell my story and they can write for me.
Oh, I think it'd be really powerful. And it could be even a movie, like book movie deal.
Maybe one day.
For sure. Well, we will keep an eye out for you, Claire. And thank you again for being on the show. It's such a pleasure. I know this might not drop until the spring, but I know both of us in Pennsylvania, Ohio, we're freezing. Our tokus is off. It is so cold right now for our listeners. So when you're listening to this, just go look outside at the nice sun and warmth, and remember that it does get really cold some places too. Like single digits for us.
Yes, it's been negative. My kids actually had their school canceled today and tomorrow.
Oh gosh, okay. Well,
because of the cold. No snow, just cold.
I know. I talked to some other folks in Minnesota, and they're closed for like 3 days straight now. Pipes are freezing, pipes are bursting. It's not good.
Yeah.
But anyway, thank you so much, Claire, for being on the show. And for our listeners, just keep going. This is one more story of encouragement and hope and healing. And look at all the great stuff that Claire is doing with her life now and having gotten through that. And don't forget that Claire mentioned, the therapy, finding the steady supply. And while the podcast is a little bit of a therapy, it's it's a monologue, not a dialogue. So, because we can't talk to you back as you're listening, but we're here to support you and know there are so many out there who will do so in real time. But thank you again, Claire, and take care. And for our survivors listening, just take one day at a time, 1 hour at a time sometimes, and stay tuned for the next episode until we meet again. Together we are thriving and surviving. Take care.
Thank you so much for joining us on this episode of Dear Katie. These conversations are never easy, but they're always necessary, and we're so grateful you chose to share this space with us. If something in today's episode stirred something within you, please give yourself what you need. Whether that's rest, support, or just a deep breath, you're not alone. To hear more stories, resources, and survivor-centered conversations, be sure to subscribe and follow us on your favorite podcast platform. We want to hear from you, so please leave us a review and share your feedback. Your thoughts help us create episodes that resonate with listeners. Until next time, take care of yourselves and each other.